the 1975 Ford Taunus from Warrior of the Lost World. A customized version of this Ford model, along with numerous other cars, bikes, and helicopters, was used in a rebellion against Omega, an Orwellian state run by the evil Prosser. The fight was led by a resistance movement known as the Outsiders and directed by a mysterious biker known as the Rider. Written and directed by David Worth and released in 1983, Warrior of the Lost World stars Robert Ginty, Persis Kambata, Donald Pleasance, Fred Williamson, and Jaretta Jaretta, the Shala-Vette custom monster car from Death Race 2000. Built by customizer Dick Dean, the Shala-Vette, nicknamed the Monster, was driven by actor David Carradine's character Frankenstein. Set in a dystopian America in the year 2000, Death Race 2000 centers on the deadly transcontinental road race, where participants score points by striking and killing pedestrians. Directed by Paul Bartel and produced by the legendary Roger Corman, Death Race 2000 also stars Simone Griffith, Sylvester Stallone, Mary Woronov, Roberta Collins, Martin Kove, Louisa Moritz, Don Steele, Joyce Jameson, and John Landis. The modified 1981 Dodge M4S Turbo Interceptor from the Wraith. The Dodge M4S was a joint effort of the Dodge division of Chrysler Motors and PPG Industries, designed by Bob Ackerman. The Wraith centers on a mysterious man who descends from the sky and manifests in a sports car, targeting a violent road racing gang of motorheads. Written and directed by Mike Marvin, The Wraith stars Charlie Sheen, Matthew Berry, Sherilyn Fenn, Randy Quaid, Clint Howard, Nick Cassavetes, and David Sherrill. The 2006 Subaru Impreza WRX from Baby Driver. The Subaru Impreza was the car of choice for a young getaway driver who must face the music when a doomed heist threatens his life, love, and freedom. Written and directed by Edgar Wright, Baby Driver stars Ansel Elgort, Kevin Spacey, Lily James, Isaac Gonzalez, Jamie Foxx, and John Hamm. The 1957 Ford Thunderbird Convertible from the television series Vegas. In the show Vegas, Robert Urich plays private detective Dan Tana, who drives to his client assignments on the streets of Las Vegas in a flashy red 1957 Ford Thunderbird. Created by Michael Mann, Vegas also stars Bart Braverman, Phyllis Davis, Judy Landers, Naomi Stevens, Tony Curtis, and Greg Morris. The 1977 Dodge Monaco and Cadillac Eldorado from the Terminator. In the Terminator, a cybernetic assassin is sent back in time to wipe out the future mother of a man who will one day save mankind from extinction by a hostile artificial intelligence called Skynet. The Terminator drives a Dodge Monaco police car to hunt down Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese as they escape in a Cadillac Eldorado. Directed and co-written by James Cameron, The Terminator stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton, Paul Winfield, Lance Henriksen, Bess Mata, Rick Rossovich, and Earl Bowen. The Tumbler Batmobile from Batman Begins. Batman Begins tells the origin story of Bruce Wayne from the death of his parents to his journey to become Batman. Director Christopher Nolan envisioned the Tumbler to be a combination of a Lamborghini and a Hummer. Batman Begins stars Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, Katie Holmes, Gary Oldman, Cillian Murphy, Morgan Freeman, Tom Wilkinson, Ken Watanabe, and Rutger Hauer. The 1974 Dodge Tradesman from the movie The Van. Legendary car customizer George Barris outfitted this Dodge Tradesman with a 4-foot circular window on the driver's side, a waterbed, mirrored ceiling, carpeted and padded walls, drink rack, refrigerator, TV, a table with a built-in toaster, captain's chairs, a CB radio, and an 8-track tape player. That seems more than enough for a drive-in movie about a teenager who blows his entire college savings on a van in order to get the girl of his dreams. Directed by Sam Grossman, The Van stars Stuart Getz, Deborah White, Harry Morgan Moses, Marcy Barkin, Bill Adler, Steve Oliver, Connie Hoffman, Danny DeVito, Jim Kester, and Michael Gittimer. The 1945 Norton 500cc Model 18 from the Motorcycle Diaries. Ernesto Guevara de la Serna, also known as Che, along with his friend Alberto Granado, take a road trip across South America on this Norton. His experiences on the journey transform him. Directed by Walter Salles, The Motorcycle Diaries stars Gael Garcia Bernal, Rodrigo de la Serna, Mia Maestro, Mercedes Moran, Jean-Pierre Noer, Lucas Oro, Marina Gleaser, and Sofia Bertolato. The 1915 CR Patterson Greenfield from Sinners. Smoke and Stack's car from the movie Sinners was an automobile produced and built by CR Patterson and Sons, the first and only black-owned auto manufacturer in the United States. The company's founders, Charles Richard Patterson and Frederick Patterson, were inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame in 2021. Written and directed by Ryan Coogler, Sinners stars Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Miles Caton, Jack O'Connell, Wunmi Mosaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Miller, and Delroy Lindo. The 1979 Porsche 928 from Risky Business. High school student Joel Goodson drives through downtown Chicago in this Porsche with good times and a gorgeous prostitute in tow. The situation quickly gets out of hand when a gun-toting pimp and Lake Michigan get in the way. Written and directed by Paul Brickman, Risky Business stars Tom Cruise, Rebecca De Mornay, Joe Pantoliano, Nicholas Pryor, Janet Carroll, Richard Masser, Curtis Armstrong, Bronson Pinchot, Cher Denise, Raphael Savarge, Bruce Young, and Kevin Anderson. The 1965 Harley-Davidson Electra Glide from the Bikeriders. Austin Butler rode this Harley in the movie. The model was notable for being one of the first to feature an electric starter instead of a Kickstarter. Directed and co-written by Jeff Nichols, The Bikeriders also stars Jodie Comer, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, Mike Feist, Boyd Holbrook, Damon Harriman, Bo Knapp, Emery Cohen, Carl Glussman, Toby Wallace, Norman Reedus, Happy Anderson, Paul Sparks, and Will Oldham. The 1963 Chevrolet Impala convertible from Boyz in the Hood. Boyz in the Hood follows the lives of three young males living in the Crenshaw section of Los Angeles. Writer and director John Singleton had noted during interviews that much of the story was based on his own experiences in South Central LA, including references to the area's popular car culture, which often includes the use of hydraulic systems that allow height-adjustable suspension. Boyz in the Hood stars Cuba Gooding Jr., Lawrence Fishburne, Ice Cube, Morris Chestnut, Angela Bassett, Mia McGee, Lexi Bigham, Kenneth A. Brown, Nicole Brown, Darnia Corley, John Cothran, Na Blanca Durden, Susan Falcon, Jesse Lawrence Ferguson, Tyra Farrell, and Dedrick D. Gobert. The custom silver buggy from Cinderella 2000. In an era when sex is forbidden and Big Brother uses robots to monitor everyone, a young girl tries to outwit the government so she can be with the man she loves. This custom-made vehicle represents the overall fantasy feeling of the movie sets throughout the film. Directed by B-movie legend Al Adamson, Cinderella 2000 stars Catherine Burgess, J.B. Larson, Vaughn Armstrong, Erwin Fuller, Renee Harmon, Bernie Cowens, Adina Ross, Eddie Goretti, Olivia Michelle, Art Kakaro, and Sherry Coyle. The Spinner from Blade Runner. Spinners are the vehicle's Blade Runner units used for transportation around a cyberpunk landscape to track down bioengineered humanoids known as replicants and terminally retire them. Directed by Ridley Scott and based on the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Blade Runner stars Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, Edward James Olmos, M. Emmett Walsh, Daryl Hannah, William Sanderson, Brian James, Joe Turkel, Joanna Cassidy, James Hong, Morgan Paul, and High Pike. The 1995 BMW 735i from the Transporter. Former Special Operations soldier Frank Martin drives this BMW for illicit jobs in southern France while following 3 strict rules. Never change the deal, no names, and never open the package. He breaks his own rule during his latest contract, endangering both his own life and the life of his package. Directed by Louis Leterrier and Corey Ewan from a script by Luke Besson and Robert Mark Kamen, The Transporter stars Jason Statham, Shu Qi, Francois Berland, Matt Scholes, Rick Young, and Adrian Dearnell. The Harley-Davidson Panhead Hydroglide from Hell's Angels on Wheels. Hell's Angels on Wheels tells the story of a gas station attendant who finds life more exciting after being allowed to hang out with a chapter of the Hell's Angels Outlaw Motorcycle Club. Directed by Richard Rush, Hell's Angels on Wheels stars Adam Rourke, Jack Nicholson, Sabrina Sharf, Jack Starrett, Jana Taylor, Richard Anders, and John Garwood. The 1955 Chevrolet 150 from Tulane Blacktop. Directed by Monty Hellman from a screenplay by Rudy Wurlitzer and Will Corey, Tulane Blacktop stars musicians James Taylor and Dennis Wilson, along with Warren Oates and Laurie Bird. The story follows a group of street racers during a cross-country race through the American Southwest. The 1948 Tucker 48 Torpedo from Tucker, the Man and His Dream. Tucker recounts Preston Tucker's story and his attempt to produce and market the Tucker 48. His efforts were met with scandal between the big three automobile manufacturers and accusations of stock fraud from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, Tucker, The Man and His Dream stars Jeff Bridges, Joan Allen, Martin Landau, Frederick Forrest, Mako, and Dean Stockwell. The 1973 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray C3 from Corvette Summer. This Vette was customized by Corky's Custom Studios for the movie, which centers on a high school graduate and a hooker in training attempting to track down his stolen car. Directed and co-written by Matthew Robbins, Corvette Summer stars T.K. Carter, Mark Hamill, Annie Potts, Eugene Roche, William Bryant, Richard McKenzie, Kim Milford, Philip Bruns, Danny Bonaducci, Stanley Camel, Jason Ronard, Brian James, John Miller, and Dick Miller. The 1966 Ford Thunderbird Convertible from Thelma and Louise. The main characters of the film use this Thunderbird when they decide to break out of their normal lives and hit the road, which turns into a flight when Louise kills a man who threatens to rape Thelma. Directed by Ridley Scott, Thelma and Louise stars Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen, Christopher McDonald, and Brad Pitt. The 1973 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray C3 from Cleopatra Jones. U.S. Special Agent Cleopatra Jones drives this Vette as she assists police forces in the war on drugs. Directed by Jack Starrett from a story by Max Julian, Cleopatra Jones stars Tamara Dobson, Bernie Casey, Brenda Sykes, Antonio Fargas, Dan Fraser, Bill McKinney, Michael Warren, Albert Popple, Caro Kenyatta, Esther All, Keith Hamilton, John Alderman, Eugene Jackson, Lee Weaver, George Reynolds, Don Cornelius, Frankie Crocker, and Shelley Winters. The 1965 Ford Mustang from Cherry 2000. Melanie Griffith plays a sexy renegade tracker that uses this Mustang to find an exact duplicate of the android wife of a successful businessman. Directed by Steve DeJarnett, the science fiction film Cherry 2000 also stars David Andrews, Tim Thomerson, Harry Carey Jr., Ben Johnson, Lawrence Fishburne, Michael C. Gwynn, Jack the Beau, and Pamela Gidley. The 1941 Willis Americar Speedway Coupe from Hot Rod. This made-for-TV movie stars Greg Henry as a drag racer who enters a local championship contest. However, he runs up against a corrupt sheriff who has made arrangements to ensure that his own son wins the race. Written and directed by George Armitage, Hot Rod also stars Pernell Roberts, Robin Mattson, Grant Gadive, Robert Culp, Royce D. Applegate, Topo Swope, Ed Begley Jr., Bruce M. Fisher, Eric Holland, and Carmen Argenziano. The 1970 Chevrolet Nova from Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley drives his Chevy Nova from Detroit to Beverly Hills, seeking answers in the death of his best friend. Directed by Martin Brest, Beverly Hills Cop stars Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Lisa Eilbacher, Ronnie Cox, Stephen Burkhoff, James Russo, Jonathan Banks, Stephen Elliott, Gilbert Arhill, Joel Bailey, Bronson Pinchot, and Paul Reiser. The 1973 Ford Falcon GT Coupe from Mad Max. Vengeful Australian policeman Max Rockatansky sets out to stop a violent motorcycle gang in George Miller's seminal action epic set in a self-destructing world. Mad Max stars Mel Gibson, Joe and Samuel, Hugh Keysburn, Steve Bisley, Tim Burns, Roger Ward, Lisa Aldenhoven, David Brax, Bertrand Cadart, David Cameron, and Rabina Chaffee. The 1959 Cadillac Ambulance Miller Meteor Sentinel Ecto, one from Ghostbusters. The The Ghostbusters ambulance is a custom Futura combination limousine ambulance by Ohio-based Miller Meteor. It is based on the 1959 Cadillac commercial chassis. Directed by Ivan Reitman from a script by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, Ghostbusters stars Aykroyd and Ramis, along with Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, William Atherton, David Margulies, Stephen Tash, and Jennifer Runyon. The yellow checker taxicab from Taxi Driver. Martin Scorsese's gritty New York City epic centers on a mentally unstable veteran who works as a city cab driver where the decadence and sleaze he perceives fuels his urge for violent action. Written by Paul Schrader, Taxi Driver stars Robert De Niro, Albert Brooks, Jodie Foster, Peter Boyle, Bill Shepard, Victor Argo, Peter Savage, Nat Grant, Harvey Keitel, Leonard Harris, and Joe Spinell. The 1961 Ferrari 250 GT Spider California from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Cameron's father's Ferrari wasn't an actual Ferrari. Because it was too expensive to abuse and wreck an actual Ferrari, 3 replicas were made, each using an MG chassis with a fiberglass body. Written and directed by John Hughes, Ferris Bueller's Day Off stars Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, Mia Sara, Jeffrey Jones, Jennifer Grey, Cindy Pickett, Lyman Ward, Edie McClurg, Charlie Sheen, Ben Stein, Del Close, Virginia Capers, Richard Edson, Larry Flash Jenkins, and Christy Swanson. The 1963 Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger. The Aston Martin has long been the signature vehicle for James Bond's globe-hopping adventures. For Goldfinger, the Aston Martin DB5 was outfitted with a bulletproof windscreen and rear screen, bulletproof side and rear windows, revolving number plates valid in every country, a radar screen underneath the dashboard for tracking, a homing device that Bond carries, a smoke screen, an oil slick release, left and right front wing machine guns, and tire slashers. And if all else fails and your enemy is riding with you in the car, there was a passenger side ejector seat with a quick release button. Directed by Guy Hamilton and based on the book by Ian Fleming, Goldfinger star Sean Connery, Honor Blackman, Gert Frobe, Shirley Eaton, Tanya Mallet, and Harold Sakata. The 1990 NASCAR edition Chevrolet Lumina race car from Days of Thunder. When a young hotshot stock car driver gets his chance to compete at the top level, he gets behind the wheel of this race edition Chevy Lumina. Directed by Tony Scott from a script by Robert Towne, Days of Thunder stars Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, Randy Quaid, Nicole Kidman, and Cary Elwes. The Alan Mann designed custom car from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang movie car was 17 feet long and weighed more than 2 tons. The film centers on a down-on-his-luck inventor who turns a broken-down Grand Prix car into a fancy vehicle for his children, and they go off on a magical adventure to save their grandfather in a far-off land. Directed by Ken Hughes and based upon a novel by Ian Fleming, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang stars Dick Van Dyke, Sally and Howes, Lionel Jeffries, Gert Frobe, Anna Quayle, Benny Hill, James Robertson Justice, and Robert Helpman. The 1968 Ford Mustang 390 GT Fastback from Bullitt. Nonconformist detective Lieutenant Frank Bullitt drove this Mustang on the streets of San Francisco, determined to find the underworld kingpin who killed a witness under his protection. Directed by Peter Yates and based on the novel Mute Witness by Robert Fish, Bullitt stars Steve McQueen, Robert Vaughn, Jacqueline Bissett, Don Gordon, Robert Duvall, Simon Oakland, and Norman Fell. The 1966 George Barris Lincoln Futura Batmobile from Batman. The 1966 television Batmobile was built by George Barris and based on a Lincoln Futura concept car. The car was driven by Batman and Robin as they defended Gotham City from the likes of the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, King Tut, Mr. Freeze, the Mad Hatter, Egghead, and other villains. The series starred Adam West, Burt Ward, Alan Napier, Neil Hamilton, Stafford Repp, Madge Blake, Yvonne Craig, and William Dozier. The 1970 Plymouth Valiant from Duel. Salesman David Mann drives this Plymouth on a business trip through the Mojave Desert, where he encounters the malevolent driver of a massive, dilapidated tractor-trailer, leading to a cat and mouse chase through the rugged landscape. Steven Spielberg made his feature directorial debut with the made-for-television film duel, which stars Dennis Weaver, Dale Van Sickle, Carrie Lofton, Jacqueline Scott, Eddie Firestone, Lou Frizzell, Eugene Donarsky, and Lucille Benson.